Hi guys, welcome to Silhouettery. My name is Callie Day, and I am here to introduce you to a new series that I've been working very hard on putting together. I hope that it'll inspire and help to heal and resolve some past traumas in each and every one of you, as it has with me. So I, in schooling, did a lot of research on the 5 stages of grief by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. You guys are probably very much familiar with these stages. There are 5, like I mentioned. It's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, and then there's also a 6th one that's added into her, she has like a newer cycle or circle of grief, and it's called hope, which I love, but we're only going to do the 5. So with each stage or cycle or phase, whatever you want to call it, you're going to get a series of poems, and these are poems that I have written when I have been in these specific cycles. And this is kind of going to be like a storybook that I've put together. This is my baby, and again, it is very challenging for me to put this stuff out, but I'm going to do it because I have to, and I'm hoping and praying that with every writing and everything that I've had to endure, that it somehow will help to bring you freedom and inspire you to go out and share your story with the world. Oftentimes we feel like our stories are not worth sharing, but little do we know, God works in mysterious ways, right? The most traumatic experiences for me have brought me the most freedom, joy, and happiness on the other side of those experiences. So let's start with the first cycle or phase, and that is denial. Okay, so when we're in denial, what do we usually feel? We usually feel some type of disbelief. It feels very surreal for us. We can't believe that this experience happened to us. We can't believe that this is our lives, that God would allow these things to happen to us. We are literally in, like the word says, denial, right? And that denial can lead us to misinterpret life as a whole. Now, here's the thing about denial. Some will stay stuck in the phase of a denial for a very short period of time. Others, it can be for an extended period of time. And this is all dependent upon how you process and analyze the grief, as well as your ability in that moment to actually handle it. So I pause there for a second, because I think one thing that a lot of people misinterpret when it comes to traumatic experiences, and it is very frustrating to me personally, is people feel like there's a timing attached to healing. Like, oh, this happened 20 years ago, you should be over it. Well, who the heck gets to decide that? Like, how can you decide when Sarah should be over what happened to her when she was 10? I mean, it's really like none of our business. And on top of that, this is all a matter of how this person processes, and their processing is going to vary based on their other experiences, right? Whether traumatic experiences or happy experiences. The way that we process and deal with grief is cyclical for me, in my opinion, and that is because we have our own stories. So allow your story to be your story. Don't allow anyone else to attach a timing or a time frame as to when you should be healed from something. Like, that's just crazy to me. So denial, again, I'm going to get back to that because I'll go off on a rabbit trail about, you guys probably have heard me say this in other videos, that people have told me, oh, like by now you should be over it. What? Like, who gets to decide when I am ready? Because another part of this too is that God gives us revelation when we're willing and ready to receive it. Right? Now, there's the first part of that is our willingness, because sometimes we choose to stay stuck in a specific energy, right? We're like, I don't want to come out of this. I want to be ticked off and mad and angry because they didn't have no business doing that to me, right? Now, if you want to stay there, stay there. That's all good. However, the other part of that is that God sees our hearts. So he knows when we're ready. And when you're ready, he's going to reveal to you through revelation through giving you signs, whatever, to show you, hey, here is the time. Take advantage of this opportunity. But allow the timing to be your timing and not someone else's, okay? But when grief hits us, right? So let me just go backwards to go forward. So initially, when traumatic, so initially when the 5 stages of grief were put together by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, she put these together based on her watching patients who were terminally ill transition, okay? And so think about that. If someone has cancer, there's going to be a slow progression of them transitioning, right? It's, when I say slow, it's slow enough typically to where you're able to see them transition out and over to the other side, to the point to where you can see one leg in, one leg out, right? Like I could see you're over there, but you're also kind of over here still. So in that, think about your traumatic experiences with that same lens, which is why I love this process as far as healing, okay? When you have gone through something traumatic, there has to be a death to that experience in order for rebirth to occur. So for example, something happens to you when you're, a teenager, and you carry that through your whole life until you're able to actually see those wounds, those holes that we talked about in the initial video, until you're able to actually see those and sit with them individually. There's no death to those experiences. Those experiences live, they stay alive. And it's, for me, equal to or equivalent to keeping something on a ventilator, or someone on a ventilator that's been diagnosed as like a vegetable, right? Someone who has brain damage, who's unable to come back to life and live, a life that's fulfilling for them. Like their quality of life is going to be extremely low. They're not going to be able to do anything. They're going to have to be taken care of. So essentially, when we have these traumatic experiences, we keep them alive by keeping them on the ventilator, which is why the cycle of grief is so beneficial in healing, because if you look at it from these different aspects, you're able to put a name or a feeling attached to those specific aspects, and then you're able to process. And that's what healing is about, is just about processing. It's not about acceptance. Doesn't mean that you're okay with this, right? I don't think that you can ever really be okay with certain traumatic experiences, especially if they were caused by someone else, someone who's supposed to love or protect you or defend you or be a support system to you. Those experiences can be extremely traumatic. So I don't personally believe that you're supposed to necessarily get to a place where you're like, oh, I love that this happened to me. This is fantastic. No, you can become accepting of and find hope in the fact that these experiences offered you new experiences in life, which has allowed you to become the person that you are today. Like you guys hear me say stuff like this, right? Like I wouldn't change any of my experiences because they've molded me into who I am. And I love myself today, and I hated myself back then. So in the first cycle of denial, we tend to kind of create this imaginative story in our minds of that this didn't happen. One specific story that always comes to my mind when I think about denial is a child who has been, unfortunately molested or raped by someone, especially someone that they know. Like if you think about a Joyce Meyer story where her father molested her for years, I mean, godly, think about how long she could have sat in denial. Because how devastating could that be to someone's mind to think that this man who is supposed to protect you would do something so vicious to you? And so, of course, she probably had to create a lot of stories in her mind. Like, this isn't really my life. Like, this isn't happening. This can't be the truth. Like this just can't seem right. And it's because that traumatic experience is like a shock to your system. Right? So initially, imagine being like hit by a train. You get hit by a train, it's going to throw you aback. You're not going to know for a moment that that's actually what happened. That's the first cycle of grief, denial. You're like, oh my God, that didn't really happen to me. And it's like, it did, but your body doesn't necessarily know that because you have all this adrenaline and all these things just flowing through you. And you're like, oh, I didn't even know I got hit by a train. And then a little bit later, you're like, ow, I'm hurting everywhere. And it's, yeah, because you got hit by a train. So that's how traumatic experiences hit us. Is like, whoa, that's not really happening. Think about the cancer patient who gets diagnosed initially. It's like, there's no way I have cancer. I can't believe this. What am I going to do? How could this be? You know, this is normal. It's a normal process and part of the grieving cycle. And so what we want to do is take this denial section and kind of break it down. So what I'm going to do is throughout this week, you're going to see poems come out, and these poems will come out. And as they come out, they are all stages of denial that I was in. Keep in mind, I could have written these 10 years ago. I could have written them 10 minutes ago. Okay. So please don't be like, oh my God, you guys, this is a part of my story. So take in this information and these writings, and try to relate them to your own story, you know, how you felt. And we're going to go through these cycles so that we can process these things together, so that we can heal together. I had another YouTube channel and it was titled Heal With Me. And that's exactly what this feels like to me. Healing is a journey. I've also mentioned it as being like a safari. It's something that is continual. So we're constantly evolving and healing and growing and maturing and being awakened to those revelations that God's trying to offer us. And it is just dependent upon when we're ready to receive them. There are things that I have stored in me. There are holes that I don't necessarily see yet. But as they get brought to my attention, now I'm able to see them. And the first part of that is like, wow, I can't believe that happened. You know, there's a thing called Stockholm Syndrome. If you don't know what it is, look it up. But for years, I didn't realize that I was kind of sitting in that. It's almost to me, a huge part of the denial cycle, because in that section of grieving, or that time frame of grieving, you really want to protect the person who has, you know, been like the predator in your lives. Like the one, okay, go back to the Joy story. She probably wanted to protect her father because, oh my gosh, if people around me find out that my dad's doing this to me, then now they're going to think he's the bad guy. And so a part of denial is like, no, it's really not, it's not them, it's me. You know, feeling like you've done something wrong, like you're the problem. If you were better, if you didn't say this, then maybe they wouldn't have reacted that way. And this is a part of processing this information and processing that whole. So as you go through this, and I'm going to close this video out because you guys probably know I could keep talking, but as you go through this denial phase with me, and you're watching the videos as they come out, the poems that have been written, allow yourself to visualize, just take one wound, because that's a big part of healing for me, is not looking at, if I have 15 holes, I'm not looking at all 15 of these, because I'm going to get overwhelmed, and then I'm going to say, to heck with it, forget it, it's too much, I don't want to do it. So just find one wound that you think, and start small. I think I mentioned this in another video. Start small. Find one wound that you want to focus on throughout this cycle, and allow yourself to process any feelings of denial that you may have been carrying or may still be carrying in regards to that situation. Okay, and then once we're done, we'll come back and we'll talk a little more about the denial cycle, and then we will carry on to the next, which will be anger, which I had a lot of anger. So I have some great poems for y'all. All right, guys, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos so that we can help others to heal along with us. I'm so thankful for you joining me on this journey, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Have a good one. Bye.